Those are the only two objectives we have. In order to win the simulation, you have to maximize your assets without overfishing, because if you overfish, you get a 0, okay? So let's start building the framework for maximizing assets. How can we maximize assets? What are the two possibilities? How can we maximize our assets?
By selling ships.
Okay, so before we go there, if you go to, I want to close this, but I don't want to lose what we have been doing so far. Okay, so please, I want to ask you to go to Microsoft Teams. I'm going to share with you. And go here. To presentation, to the fishing simulation briefing presentation. Here it is. Here you have all the information to do this activity. So please have this at hand, because I'm going to share my whiteboard. So here you have, what are the two possible ways to maximize your assets? I'm showing to you. What are the two possible ways to maximize your net worth or your assets? Having a bank balance, a high bank balance, and also having a high value fleet. So those are the two possibilities. There's no more. Now, let me share the whiteboard. So bank balance. And fleet value. How do we calculate the bank balance? What's the basic framework for the bank balance? How do you calculate profit? Remember, we already talked about that the bank balance is the same as the profit.
Income minus expenses.
That's it. So we have, I'm going to write revenue. Revenue and costs. For fleet value, how do we calculate the fleet value? How do we calculate the value of our fleet?
Fleet growth and fleet reduction.
Nope. So let's think about this. So what are the things you need to calculate, or the KPIs you need to calculate how much your fleet values? Está en términos de dinero, no? It's money. So my fleet value is, I don't know, 2,000 units of money. How do I calculate that amount of money? Number of ships I have. I'm going to write number of ships. And what else? the current price of that of the ships, right? That's in the ship market. So if I multiply the number of my ships times the value of that ship, I get the fleet value. Okay. Now, this is just the basic framework, because in revenue and cost, we can start listing what are the different factors that we need to analyze. And that it's up to you. I'm going to leave it here. Here it's already done because that's how you calculate fleet value. But how do you calculate bank balance, revenue minus cost? So what are the different revenue streams and what are the different costs we are incurring, okay? So that has to do with assets. And let's talk about overfishing. How do I calculate the overfishing? Or how do I monitor that I do not overfish? What's the KPI or the number that help me to be monitoring overfishing?
The goal.
Fish stock, right? So how much fish is in the deep sea and coast, right? That's how I monitor fish stock, and that's a number. So we have two different dimensions for the balance scorecard. Which dimension is this one? Financial. Which dimension is this one? Sustainability. So now I can build my balance scorecard, right? I have two objectives, maximizing my assets. I have two sub-objectives to increase bank balance and to increase fleet value. And in the second dimension of perspective, my objective is not to overfish, not to finish the fish. And I'll be monitoring with my balance scorecard this dimension and this dimension, okay? So what's left for you is this and this. And it's not the same as an income statement, but the numbers have to match. So if I have revenue minus cost plus the fleet value should give you the number of your assets, and all the information is available in the simulation, okay? So now let me go to the activity. So it's there, you want to take a screenshot. Let's go. No, it's not here. Here it is. Activity 9. So we have to build a table of KPIs for the decision taking, the one we did last class, the different KPIs for each decision, and screenshot of the balance scorecard of year 7. I'm going to explain you how time works in the balance scorecard designer, and a screenshot of the strategy map. Remember, that's automatically made in the software, and a formatted table with the income statement. So basically is the KPIs for decision taking, balance scorecard. In the balance scorecard designer, it gives you the strategy map, and then you give me an income statement, such as the one I show you as an example. So let's go to the balance scorecard so I can show you how time works here. I'm going to share with you again the link here. So I'm going to pick this example. So time here cannot be modified in terms of years. However, we know we have round one, year one, year two, year three, and so on. So what we are going to use is just the final number of this calendar. So year zero is 2020, year one is 2021, and so on. Right now, we are in the 6th round, so 2026, and that's the decision for this week. But we are going to focus on the decision for the next year, next week. So that's 2027. We are going to work here for the balance scorecard. So I already gave you the 2 dimensions, the financial dimension and sustainability dimension. And you have to write the objectives you have in that dimension and the KPIs to monitor that dimension. Which KPIs? Let me show you again. We have already 3 KPIs for the balance scorecard: number of ships, price ship, and fish stock. What's left for you for the activities, and you have to put them in the balance scorecard. So remember, we are focusing on the round 7. So in round 7, you have to have, I don't know, in revenue, we want to maximize that data, the baseline, how you start, you're going to start year 7. You are going to have that information after Friday, tomorrow, because tomorrow we send in the 6th year. So this, you can start working on defining the KPIs. However, the numbers for those KPIs, I suggest for you to do it during the weekend after Friday that we close the 6th round. So again, we are going to focus on 2027 for the 7th round. Baseline, it's how you ended the year 6. The value, no, never mind. No, yeah, it's how you ended the year 6. Value is how you, this is going to be, don't worry about this because this is the current value. So that current value is one we have taken the decision 7, but write a target, okay? We are going to see how this number is moving once we have the value for the 7th year. So right now, focus on baseline, how you are beginning the year 7, and what's the target you want to achieve. If you look at historical data for that KPI, you will define a target that's achievable. You might not get this kind of sense at the beginning of doing the balance scorecard, but once we do this each year for the 7th year, for the year 9, 10, and I'm planning to do 5 more, you are going to have a sense of, okay, this target, now that I have the intuition to do so, is achievable. So try to put here an achievable target. However, if after finishing round 7, you find that that target wasn't achievable, you can think in the next round on how to put an achievable target. So let me repeat this again. Baseline is how you ended year 6. Value, don't worry about it because we haven't taken the decision for 7th round. And start thinking of a target. What I want for the activity is a screenshot of this balance scorecard for year 2027 with the target and the baseline we are having for the beginning of that year. Okay. This is going to be. Yes, what's the question? Do you have a question?
Can you repeat the value?
Yeah, don't worry right now about the value because that's the current value. And since we're doing round 7, that is yet to happen, we don't have information of that value. However, after Friday, after tomorrow, we have information on how we are beginning that year and what is our target. Once we take the decision, we will have the real value of that year. So don't worry about the current value.
Okay, thank you.
Not until next Friday that we have information to fill. The activity is individual, no. The activity is not individual, it's in teams because you are working in the same company. More questions regarding the balance scorecard? before I go to the income statement. So the second point is a screenshot of this balance scorecard with the dimensions you define. I told you two, you can put more, but I think that's the ideal. With the objectives you want to achieve, increase revenue or decrease cost, increase the fleet value, not overfish. And then you define the KPIs that help you to reach that objective. Once we have that, just a screenshot of this strategy map. We have talked so far about the strategy map briefly. However, next week, we are going to get more into deep in how to use the strategy map. So I also want this to be shown in the activity so we can have this already. Once we have that, the income statement you are also doing, do it in Excel. That's the tool I suggest for you to do it. Write your own table with the different revenue streams you have, with the different costs and your profit. So in this case, we are leaving aside the fleet value and the overfishing. We are just focusing on the bank balance because that's the same as our profit. So the income statement is the same as how the money is moving in your bank account. Okay, I repeat it. In your income statement, you have to focus on the profit you are making in your bank balance. So leave aside the other things. The other things are useful for the bigger objective. Okay. So any questions before we go to the breakout rooms and start working on it? And I do a round, so I make sure you have a great foundation in that. Okay, so suggestions for the KPIs that are still left for you to fill. Go to Microsoft Teams to the briefing of fishing simulation slides, and there you'll find useful information on how the bank balance is calculated. And also the tricky part in the income statement that you are doing in Excel. I don't want the Excel file, I just want a formatted table. That means not the screenshot, just do a nice table there as the ones I show you. The tricky part there is that numbers have to match. I don't see this tricky part as something bad. It's something good because if your numbers match, you are sure that your analysis is really well performed, okay? So I'll do the breakout rooms.
Sure, I didn't understand the last part.
Yeah, the tricky part in the income statement is that the numbers have to match.
Yeah, but you said that it has to match with what?
So your revenue minus your cost has to match the bank balance you have.
And where's the bank balance we have in the fish simulation?
Yeah. Also, I forgot to tell you. So you remember that the income statement is made each year. So we have to have the income statement for year 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, the 6 after you perform the final decision tomorrow. So we have from year 0 to year 6. Let me write that down. So the income statement is from year 0 to year 6. And the balance scorecard is just a hassle to be filling all those years. So I just need the year 2027. So I repeat again, the income statement is from year 0 to 6, and the balance scorecard is just for year 7. Okay. I'm going to write that in Canvas so you don't forget.
The income statement is just like revenue minus cost, or all the table that you show us? Revenue
And that has to, yes?
Revenues minus cost only?
Yes, that's the income statement. That's all we need to know in the income statement.
And it's in the part, I mean, it's in the fish bank, but in the part that it says like, I don't remember how it says.
Okay, so the information is not as easy as that to find. The easiest information is to find your bank balance. That's your net profit or your net income, right?
Yeah.
The difficult part is to define which are our income, the different factors of income. One is the ships you sell in the action stage. That's one stream of income. We have another fish selling. That's another revenue of income. So think of the different streams where the money is coming from. And in the cost, think of the different ways the money is leaving our company. My suggestion is to look at the briefing slides, because there you have all the information in detail of how the money in the bank balance is calculated. So right now you have the easiest number, which is the bank balance. It's the same as the net income. So how you make, it's not making, but how you analyze all the different revenues and costs in order for those numbers to match the number you have in your bank balance. Okay? So it has to match. When I will suggest for you to have a calculator at hand too. So if I see your income statement, I'm going to do calculate the revenues. To calculate it, I'm just going to see the revenues minus the costs, and it should match your net income. So questions before we go to the breakout rooms? Okay, guys, I want you to be patient, and because it takes time for me to go through all of the teams. And also, please work during this time, because right now, since the second term, I have been leaving you more alone than the first term. And so in order for you to get this right, depends only on you, okay? So try to work this last part of the class. So the different income statement you have, the balance scorecard you have, are correct, because that's the basis for what's next in this term, okay? So I'll do 22 breakout rooms, since we have 22 groups in the simulation. Not all of them are going to be filled. So please assign yourself to the breakout room you belong to in the simulation. If you cannot, just tell me which one you are in, and I'll do that for you. Also, you already have seen income statement information, financial analysis, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, teacher, I didn't come last class, and I don't know if that's the reason why I don't understand, but in the part of